Vicki, Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I've just popped on a bit late for me for a live. Normally I don't normally do lives this late in the evening, but I've been meaning to come on and do the talk about the second half of the day today in the trial of Julia Wendelt and Karen Spragg. So, of course, these are the two ladies who are accused of stalking the McCann family, because Julia Wendelt, of course, believes she is Madeleine McCann. And they've really been quite relentless in their stalking, to be fair. But, of course, we could argue then, why don't the McCanns just give them a DNA test and get it over with? Anyway, the live that I did this morning was the sort of first half of the day. Also it covered, because this case actually started on Monday. And I only started covering it today. It's the first chance I've had to cover it. I will be covering it right through to the end now. And I will try and cut, what day is it tomorrow? Thursday. I may be able to actually cover it as it happens tomorrow. But I wanted to come on and talk about the rest of the day today, because it was an interesting day. Gerry McCann gave evidence. We heard some of Kate's evidence this morning, and we're going to hear the end of Kate's evidence, and we're going to hear Gerry's, what he had to say about everything. And of course, as always, let me know what you think in comments. You know, this is the case, obviously, of Madeleine McCann, most famous missing child probably ever. Famous all over the world, this case. Infamous, I don't know how you would describe it. Maybe famous isn't high profile. It's a very, very high profile case. There's not many people that you'll speak to all over the world probably who have not heard of this case. And that's partly because of the McCanns, who, of course, you know, they had a big campaign, you know, to find Madeleine. And so, you know, it certainly worked. I mean, most people know about the Madeleine McCann case, don't they? But she was, poor little mite, was only 3 years old. She's never been seen since she was 3 years old. As far as we know, personally, in my opinion, I think she's deceased, bless her. She's taking my tea bag out. I was doing it with a fork, a little fork, so I couldn't find a teaspoon. Yeah. So anyway, I think you all know the case. I'm not going to go through the whole case of Madeleine again. So I think you all know about Madeleine. I just want to say my thank yous and then get on with the evidence that was given today in court in the second part of the day. So, yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you to all my watchers, viewers. Thank you to those of you who like the videos or share them, especially is important as well. Yeah, just thank you for watching, spending some of your time out of your day with me. I appreciate that. Thank you. Special thank you to my members. Members Live is tomorrow, Thursday. Why not think about becoming a member, and you can join in that special live that we do on a Thursday evening. I want to thank people that bought me Ko-fis, sent me super chats. I've had some lovely emails recently as well. Just nice people saying nice things. That all is lovely. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for leaving nice comments. Any positive way you participate in my channel. Thank you. And hello, lovely lurkers. Lovely lurkers are the people that like to watch the lives but don't like to join in the chat, don't want to put their head above the parapet. Hi to replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now let's see. I've caught everybody out with this live, I know, because I've only just decided to do it. But there are a couple of you here. That's nice to see. So, hi Tracy. Hi Daniel. Yeah, happy Wednesday. Hi Jacqueline. What, the members live tomorrow, Tracy? Are you saying what time? I think I'll make it 8 p.m. Spanish time. Probably I've do it because my son is number one son. You know, I have to take him to work. He's not been well, so I'm not sure if he's at work tomorrow or not. When I find out what's happening, I'll know clearer what time. But it will either be 8 o'clock Spanish time or 9 o'clock. It'd be one or the other. So. But anyway, okay, so let's have a look at this. So for those of you who, well, I think most of you do know these ladies. This is Karen Spragg on the left, who for some unknown reason has attached herself to the fake Madeleine. But she's a woman who should know, she's old enough to know better. I mean, you know, she's a sort of middle-aged woman. What is she getting involved in all this for? And she seems really vociferous, really aggressive about everything. And of Julia, of course, is a younger, I think she's 24 or something like that. She's too old to be Madeleine, to be honest, because Madeleine would only be 21 now, I think. 20 even, 20 or 21, but she has pretended to be two other missing girls before. We heard that in the court case. There are two other missing girls that she's pretended to be. This is not her first rodeo in pretending to be a missing girl. And she, you know, she's definitely got some mental health issues. She just can't. She's obsessive. And it's resulted now, she's been in prison. Which is awful, really, isn't it? Because she needs to be in a mental health facility, really. But I don't know what the answer is for Julia, because she's Polish, she's not British. She's come over from Poland, or she went over from Poland to Britain to stalk the McCanns. She's also stalked the twins, Sean and Amelie. So not only Kate and Gerry, and I think from what Kate was saying, the final straw was when, you know, that they've taken this as far as they have now, is because she was stalking the, you know, Amelie and Sean. And at the end of the day, whatever you think of the McCanns themselves, Amelie and Sean haven't done anything wrong. You know, they were just babies themselves. When Madeleine, that night that Madeleine went missing, they could have been abducted as well, because all those three children had been left on their own in that apartment. So, but she's been stalking them, sending photos, saying she is their sister, etc. So, from what Gerry and, well, what Kate said, first of all, we saw some evidence that Kate gave. Earlier, that was the final straw. You know, it's one thing to sort of, you know, I think they've got used to attention, haven't they, over the years? But it's quite another to stalk the Amelie and Sean. So this is Gerry. I don't know. Anyway, this is Gerry. And what we're going to listen to tonight is the last bit of Kate's testimony, and then Gerry has given testimony as well. So that's what we're going to look at. Yeah, he's still got a really bad cough, Tracy. Number one, he's got the cough. You probably hear it. Terrible cough. And it, you know, it means he can't sleep very well. So no, he's not. He is poorly sick. He is poorly sick. Bless him. Okay, so let's have a look at from where we got to earlier. So remember, she'd sent a letter. Kate McCann received this letter. I think this is about where we got to, addressed to Mum. And it said, I don't like seeing you upset, because the day before she'd been actually round to the McCann's house. and Kate was there. They waited outside, her and Spragg waited outside until Kate came home. And that must have been really scary for Kate, to be honest, because there was two of them as well. And they were quite sort of aggressive and everything. So that must have been really scary. That was a definite no-no. We should not be doing that. Should not be stalking. Stalking is scary. Very, very scary. So she got this letter the following day after they turned up at the house. Mum, I don't like seeing you upset. And she said that she was refusing to take a DNA test because she was scared. All I want is to find out the truth, etc. So, and Kate told the court she just wanted Madeleine back. So the letter was really stressing, and her referring to me as her mum was hard. Must have been hard, to be honest. Oh, and then I think we read this, that Kate was added and re-added to WhatsApp groups. She said she suddenly found she was being added to groups on WhatsApp, and she had no interest in the groups, and she would leave them only to be added back in. So I think this is probably Julia that was adding her to all these groups. And Julia Wendelt allegedly posted a message into one of the groups. She's very active in the Facebook groups, or she was, saying, I won't be able to live normally without the truth. It's killing me inside. I just want to hug you and be accepted and cry in your arms. I mean, it's a bit creepy, that, isn't it? It really is creepy. And Kate said she felt concerned and thought that Wendelt's behaviour indicated that she had mental health problems. And that would be even scarier, because people with mental health problems, they can do things, unpredictable things. There's no saying what Julia might do if she got really upset, because she's unbalanced. So I suspect it was pretty terrifying, to be honest, for Kate. And so Julie was led out the courtroom, and she was sobbing, wasn't she, and shouting, why are you doing this to me? To Kate McCann. Anyway, this is the letter in full. Here's the full readout of the letter that was posted through the letterbox of the McCanns on the 7th of December 2024, the day after Julia turned up at their front door. Dear Mum, I'm so sorry for causing you so much distress, but when I saw you yesterday, my emotions were so strong. I felt a close connection to you. I don't like seeing you upset. All I want is to find out the truth. I have memories, and I have gathered a lot of evidence supporting my case. I think that inside your heart you believe and know who I am, and I am your daughter. I don't understand why you don't want to do a DNA test with me. I think you are scared, but whatever makes you scared, just remember that you are stronger than that. Yesterday, I heard a lot of care and love in your voice. I hope you will find a way to contact me. And the letter was signed Madeleine, along with a kiss. I mean, this is literally making me go cold, because that is such stalkerish behaviour. She's just oblivious. She's in her own zone, isn't she? I heard a lot of care and love in your voice. So Kate was probably terrified, trying to, calm her down and placate her, but also try and be safe. Really just awful, this. And as I say, no matter what you think about the actual Madeleine McCann case, it's, it's terrible what she's done to the McCanns, I think, to be honest. Yeah. Hi, Trev. Yeah, definitely. She needs help. I think we can all agree that she needs help. So, no, I don't know what's been happening while she's been locked up. hope they've been giving her some psychological assessments. Having said that, she won't, how can I put it? She won't accept it, will she? You know, so. And she has had a DNA test. She had a DNA test. She hasn't had a direct DNA test compared to the McCanns, but she did have a DNA test which was found that she was Polish descent. You know, that she is not Madeleine McCann. It is 100% certain she's not Madeleine McCann. There's part of me that thinks, why don't the McCanns just do this, you know, complete DNA test? Just be done with it. But anyway, that's their decision to make, isn't it? It's their decision to make. So then she resumed. Now she's being questioned, Kate McCann, by the defense lawyer. And she goes through some of her previous statements and confirms again that the final straw for her was when Julia Wendelt contacted her children. She said she also had journalists come into her home to ask her about Wendelt. And she said she eventually blocked Wendelt's number on her phone, but said that she would then ring without caller ID, which was a problem, as the police would often call without caller ID, she added. So the thing is, Kate obviously didn't want to change her phone. She's had the same phone phone number for quite a long time now. I presume she doesn't want to change her phone number in case anybody does contact her about Madeleine. So, but the police or anybody with any updates of anything that's happening. And she probably feels, well, why should I change my phone number? Because how she got the phone number, I don't know. Someone's given her this number, haven't they? Or she's been crafty about the way. You can never underestimate just what lengths stalkers will go to find out your details. Things that you just wouldn't even think about. You know, I was saying about my stalker years ago, and he found my new address, of all things, through the Labour Party, because I was a member of the Labour Party, and I changed my address with the my local branch, you know, whoever what they would call the chairman or whatever of my local branch. And my ex got that address out of him. It was terrible, really, because he could have come round and murdered me. He did come round and steal my car. When he had that address, because what he did, because the other thing he did is he had a copy made of the car key. Oh, anyway, it's a long story. It's in my book, but it's terrible. But it's the lengths that they go to. And when I sort of challenged this guy later on and said, you should never have given him my address, he said he was just so, because what he would do. He would phone, like, because he stole my address book when we split up. So he would phone like people and say, oh God, I've got to get in touch with Vicki. There's an emergency, like say there's something wrong with the dog or something had happened. I need to get in touch with her. That's what he would do. He would find a way. Anyway, so this is it. You can never underestimate how crafty stalkers are to get your address, to get your phone number, the way they manipulate people. Because if somebody's not, in that, isn't aware, it's amazing how easy it is for these stalkers to manipulate people to get phone numbers, addresses, etc. Tom Price, representing Julia, is asking Kate McCann about the day that she and another woman visited her address and asked about the letter Wendelt was holding. Kate said, I was aware she was holding something. She was pleading. She was asking about the DNA test again. And she said the two women didn't give any indication, though, that they wanted to hurt her. And Price told the court the pair were knocking, not banging on the door to carry on the conversation. So Kate had said they were banging on the door, and the defence lawyers trying to say they were knocking, not banging. Does it matter? They shouldn't have been there, should they? They shouldn't have been there, and they shouldn't have been knocking on the door. They've been told to leave. Here's Karen Spragg again. What is she getting? What's her thing in this? Why is she getting herself involved in it? Simon Russell Flint, the barrister for Karen Spragg, is now asking questions to Kate McCann. And Kate confirms that many people have tried to contact her over the years, but she says not many have actually claimed to be Madeleine. She says she's pretty sure she never ever responded to Julia Wendelt's attempts to contact her. Flint asked Kate why she didn't agree to a DNA test. And she said that having seen a photograph of Wendelt and the fact she was Polish, none of it made any sense. I know I can't say what Madeleine looks like now, but I know I'd recognise her. I mean, I think Madeleine would look a lot like Kate, to be honest. To me, I think that they probably do. Anyway, then Kate finished giving her evidence, and we're going to look at Gerry's evidence in a moment. We'll just watch this little video.
Cuando pagas tus impuestos vuelven. Vuelven cuando consigues la beca que te abrirá puertas.
Sorry, little like
cuando necesitas ayuda incluso para llegar a lo mínimo. Vuelven con ese permiso de paternidad para estar donde quieres estar. Lo que das cuando pagas impuestos vuelve a ti, vuelve a todos. Ministerio de Hacienda, Gobierno de España.
Let's take to Leicester now, to the trial of a woman who allegedly claimed to be the missing Madeleine McCann. Julia Wendelt, a 23-year-old Polish national, is accused of stalking the parents and siblings of missing Madeleine. Our correspondent Lisa Dowd is outside Leicester Crown Court for us now. Lisa, bring us up to date on what's been happening there today.
Well, Kate McCann, Madeleine's mother, was very quietly spoken as she gave evidence behind a blue curtain here at Court 2 at Leicester Crown Court today in the trial of two women accused of stalking her and her family. Now, she painted a picture of being persistently messaged by one of the women, Julia Wendelt, who is 24 and from Poland, claiming that she was her missing daughter, Madeleine McCann, even leaving answer phone messages for her because she managed to get hold of her phone number. In court, one of those messages was played. You could hear her Polish accent. She said, "I never lied. I'm not crazy. Please let me prove it." And in message,
she doesn't look anything like Amelie or anything like Kate. And, you know, Maddie, she looked a lot like Kate, even as a toddler. I think Amelie looks a bit more like Gerry, but, you know, Julia doesn't look like any, you know, and she had that DNA test done that said she was Polish descent. So, I mean, still, this part of me thinks just do the bloody DNA test and get it over with.
She constantly asked Mrs. McCann for a DNA test, even went to police who are investigating Madeleine's disappearance still. Now, police sent a photo of Julia Wendelt to Madeleine McCann's parents, Kate and Gerry, and the parents concluded that it was not Madeleine. In fact, in court, Kate McCann said on the possibility of seeing Madeleine now, she says, "I think I'd recognise her." Kate McCann also said that it was the final straw when Julia Wendelt went on to message her daughter Madeleine's sister Amelie, and she contacted police about what was going on. Then in May 2024, Julia Wendelt actually turned up at a vigil trying to contact Kate and Gerry McCann. That was a vigil that's annually held in remembrance of Madeleine in Rothley in Leicestershire. She wasn't successful at that time, and it was around this time that a second defendant started to message Kate McCann as well. She's Karen Spragg, who's 61 and from Cardiff, and in December 2024, both of them turned up together.
Yeah, what's she doing? 61 years old. What's she getting involved with it for? What's it got to do with her anyway?
On a dark night at Kate McCann's house. She was just...
So I noticed she's got a little suit on this time. Do you remember last time she turned up at court in her Crocs and her tracksuit bottoms?
Getting out of the car, she said she got a fright because out of the darkness, she heard Julia Wendelt refer to her as Mum, and she called Karen Spragg slightly more aggressive. She said, "Don't you want to find your daughter?" And Kate McCann said she had been very distressed by this. The trial continues.
I do think it's terrible, to be honest. Terrible, terrible. But especially Karen Spragg, because, you know, Julia is clearly mentally disturbed. You know, there's problems there. But Karen Spragg, she's older, she should know better, and she's just making everything worse. Anyway, here's the court drawings. Cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, no pictures to bring you. Instead, this sketch has been drawn. You know what these sketches are like, but it's a little bit better than the ones of Erin Patterson, I think, the mushroom murderess. Do you remember those? So I think it's a little bit better, but I don't know. But anyway, the artist has produced this image of Karen Spragg here on the left and Julia Wendelt listening to Kate McCann's evidence. Oh, and they had to put a blue curtain up to protect so that Julia couldn't see Kate. That's quite scary, isn't it? As well, you know, they had to protect her from... they had to protect Kate with this blue curtain so they couldn't see her. But, Now Gerry comes to give evidence. Let's have a look at Gerry. You know, I don't know what it is about Gerry, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm not being, you know, there's just something about Gerry, isn't there? He's got quite a contemptuous face. Like, look, that picture. There's just something, he always looks like he's sort of got a bad smell under his nose to me, but you know, that's obviously just his face. You know, I don't know, he can't help his face, I suppose, but he always looks a little bit sneering. Well, he's a surgeon, isn't he? And surgeons do think they're gods, don't they? So I don't know, I don't mean to insult him, but this is a typical photo to me of Gerry McCann. Just looks quite contemptuous, doesn't he? But maybe he's not. Maybe he's a really nice guy, for all I know. This is a relatively recent picture of Kate. I mean, the thing is, if the McCanns, they're not innocent in one way, because they did leave their children on their own. 3 children, 3. And their ages were 2 and 3. They left them on their own in an apartment, which is a long walk from the bar where they were. I mean, I've been there. I've walked it. I've seen it. You would never leave your children there while you went off and got drunk with your friends, especially in a place like Portugal, where, you know, everywhere's child friendly. There's children. I mean, when I went there, I was there for a couple of days. There's children everywhere. Everybody takes their children out with them. You know, there was no need to leave. You know, I think most of us who've got children, when you go on holiday, you know, you get them, you take them in the buggy, you push them off. Normally they fall asleep, don't they? After they've eaten, they'll have a run round, and then you get them in the buggy and they'll just fall asleep. Little kids like that are quite easy to take out. Gets a bit harder later on, maybe. But yeah, little kids are easy to take out. And then we used to, or if you'd take him out in the buggy normally, but you could put two chairs together, you put a coat on there, and that normally kids, once they've had their food and a run around, and it comes to like 9-10 o'clock at night, they're tired, they want to go to sleep, and they will fall asleep in the comfort of hearing their parents talking and chatting with their friends and that. You don't need to leave your children in an apartment. It's terrible to do it anyway. Especially this particular apartment, which was not right there on the complex doesn't have any apartments. The apartments are separate from the complex. You have to go out of the complex, walk up the road, round the corner. It's just wrong what they said. So I'm not, I don't know what happened to Madeleine, but they are guilty of leaving Madeleine and the other two children on their own in that apartment at the age that they were. And to be quite honest, they were lucky they didn't lose all three of them. Madeleine was taken, but the other two weren't, and that was fortunate, really, because they could all have been taken, couldn't they? So anyway, this is my thing with the McCanns, because if they weren't doctors, if they were single parents from some housing estate, they would have been probably sued for charged with negligence at least. And they've never acknowledged it either. They've not even ever said, oh, we're really sorry we left the kids on their own. They defend it. They defend it and say, oh, well, it was just like having dinner in your garden. Well, it's not. It's not like having dinner in your garden. And yeah, they've never acknowledged that that they were wrong to do that, have they? They've tried to justify it. That's my thing with the McCanns, whether they had anything to do with Madeleine's disappearance or not. I don't know. I have my theories, but I don't know. There's no evidence, is there? But they're definitely guilty of leaving three tiny children on their own, and they were lucky not to lose all of them, to be honest, in my opinion. Yeah, they do get special treatment. They've always had special treatment right from the beginning, and the reason is because they're doctors, aren't they? They're doctors. They wouldn't get special treatment if they were just, that. I don't know. Maybe they've got connections. Very strange. The whole thing is very strange. Hi, Super John. So let's see. Let's carry on with this. And Gerry also gives his evidence behind a curtain so the public and the defendants cannot see him. I mean, when you think about it, that is, who gets that? Does anyone ever get that treatment? Being able to give your evidence behind a curtain. You have people who are, who are accusing someone of RAPE, and they have to face their accuser in court. They have to face their attacker in court. They don't get a blue curtain put in front of their face. It is special treatment, isn't it? Because imagine, if you've been attacked, so you have to sit in court and look at your attacker, or if someone's been murdered and the family have to sit there, don't they? And the attacker, they don't get the witnesses that come out. And for example, if somebody's killed somebody, that one of the witnesses might be a family member, like a witness that needs to testify. They don't want to look at the person who's murdered their loved one. They might be terrified of them. They don't get that. They don't get a curtain put in front of their face if they ask for it. But anyway, he's been sworn in on the Bible, and he's going to be questioned by the prosecutor Michael Duck. Now, we did have a little giggle at that this morning, Mr. Duck. Hope his first name isn't Toilet. No, it's Michael's. For, you know, his, and then like someone was saying this morning, I hope his first name isn't Donald. Anyway, it's Michael. So it's Michael Duck, KC. And Kate, like Kate, Gerry's given his evidence behind a curtain, so the public and the defendants cannot see him. Well, lucky Gerry. So anyway, apparently Julia wrote to Gerry and said, I think I'm Madeleine. He says that he first became aware of Julia in 2023 after receiving information from a family liaison officer. He says he and Kate were sent a photograph of Wendelt, and he said he was very confident just by looking at it, it was not his daughter. Michael Duck then takes McCann through an email that was sent to him from Wendelt. Listen, it's not me who's saying these, so I'll try and remember to say the first names. I hate it when these journalists use surnames only, but sometimes it might slip out because that's what they're saying. So he then takes Gerry through an email that was sent to him from Julia via the Find Madeleine campaign in June 2022. And it started, hello, I'm writing to you because I think I'm Madeleine McCann. A year later, Gerry received another email from Julia in which she said she'd started to believe she was Madeleine in June 2022. He says he doesn't specifically remember receiving the email, but would typically forward them to police investigators. Michael Duck asks Gerry about the messages sent by Julia to his daughter, Amelie. And I mean, this is even worse, isn't it, to be contacting Amelie, you know, I mean, it must have been difficult enough to grow up being the sister of the most famous missing person, you know, in history, and then now to have to go through this. So earlier, Kate McCann had said discovering this was the final straw that led her to contact the police. Gerry says he was not initially aware of the messages sent to Amelie, which he says makes me quite sad. He adds that he was aware Julia was trying to communicate with Kate. There were multiple times when I was present when her phone kept going off one time after the other. Sometimes there would be messages coming through on WhatsApp saying she was Madeleine. Gerry McCann says he answered the phone to Julia on one of the many occasions she tried to call Kate McCann, and he tells the court he told Wendelt, "You are not Madeleine." So this picture is 2014, so it's over 10 years ago. They're not really, you know, many recent pictures of them about. Switching back to the messages sent by Julia to his daughter Amelie, Gerry becomes emotional. His voice breaks when he talks about his children being contacted. I was appalled, he said. We've done our best to try to protect Sean and Amelie. Now, again, how did Julia get Amelie's phone number? You know, who's been giving out these numbers? You know, or is it that she's just so crafty, you know, to have got hold of these numbers? How did she get them? I mean, you know, imagine if tomorrow you think, oh, I want to send a message to Amelie McCann, as if you would, but let's just, how would you even start trying to get hold of her number? You'd have to be pretty devious, wouldn't you, to get it? Given what has happened to Madeleine, we try to keep them out of the media as much as possible. We know they want to be identified as Sean and Amelie McCann and not missing Madeleine's brother and sister. As a parent, you want to try and protect your children. We know social media can be damaging and there is nasty stuff online about us. So obviously we want to protect them from that. Now, at Sean and Amelie's age, they're bound to be going on social media, aren't they? I can't imagine that they won't be on social media. So, God, you know, there's so much on there. Anyway, Gerry McCann says the contact from Julia Wendelt to his wife Kate was relentless, unrelenting. He says he told the police that the situation was becoming unbearable. He is asked about the night that both Wendelt and Karen turned up on his drive and that Kate had called to warn him. Kate was very distressed. Her voice, she was clearly upset. I was 5 minutes away. When I arrived, there was a small white car parked on the crescent, which was very unusual. I saw two women on the drive. I had seen a photo of Julia, and it looked very much like the same woman. The court is shown a recording then of the discussion between Gerry McCann, Julia Wendelt and Karen Spragg at the McCann family home in Rothley, Leicestershire, on the 7th of December 2024. On the audio, which was recorded by the defendants, Gerry says, "You're not Madeleine, please do not hassle us." Much of the conversation is inaudible, but Gerry can be heard threatening to call the police as both women argue with him. I mean, fancy turning up there and then arguing with, so Julia's, as far as Julia's concerned, that's her dad. That's her dad, and she's arguing with him, and oh dear me. Gerry is asked about his recollection of the event. I was probably much calmer than I would have been if Kate didn't warn me, he said. Now, I've heard that audio. It's been floating around social media. Must try and get hold, record it or, try and show it you one day. But he's calm, I think, on there. That struck me when I was listening to it. I thought, oh my God, he's a lot calmer than I think I would be if I was in that situation. And he was saying, oh, please, you are not Madeleine, please. He was calm, and he was not nasty to Julia or Karen, whereas it seems like they were quite nasty to them. Here's Karen, one of the days that she arrived at court. Yeah, she's just a complete mystery to me why she's even getting herself involved in it. She's just as Fruit Loop as Julia, isn't she? Oh, then apparently she accused Gerry of being a Freemason. All this thing about Freemasons and everything. It's crazy. Oh, night, Tracy. It's crazy, isn't it? But I don't know. Just Freemason. Maybe he is, I don't know. But Gerry McCann says Karen Spragg accused me of being a member of the Masons when she appeared on his doorstep alongside Julia Wendelt in December 2024. I'm not, Gerry says. It's pretty unlikely. I don't think they let Catholics in. I don't know. He says Spragg also talked to him about a cover-up surrounding the 2007 disappearance of his daughter Madeleine. And Gerry says that once he got inside the house, they kept banging on the door, banging and shouting. And at that point, Kate McCann was still pretty shaken. I mean, it must have been an awful experience. So Gerry McCann says he didn't read the letter that was left for him and his wife Kate at his house. He said it was signed from Madeleine, so he ignored it. We don't know what's happened to Madeleine. There's no evidence she's dead, McCann says. When people claim to be your missing daughter you haven't seen for this long, it pulls on your heartstrings, but it's damaging the search for Madeleine. After the defendants turned up at his house, McCann says he improved the CCTV there. Every time you drive home, you wonder, is someone going to be there, he says. It impacted us virtually every day because you're driving in and you're worried. Well, you would be worried. I mean, that's their home. You know, you wouldn't want someone like that turning up at your home. So then the prosecution finishes its questioning of Gerry McCann, and the barristers for Julia and Karen will take over. So the defence questions McCann. Gerry says his wife Kate received a lot of calls with no caller ID, which were thought to be Julia Wendelt. Kate blocked Julia as a contact. I don't know how you block a no caller ID. McCann then confirms to Karen Spragg's barrister that he was never contacted by Spragg. He only spoke to her when she turned up at his house. No doubts that Wendelt wasn't Madeleine. Gerry McCann is asked about the decision not to get a DNA test to confirm that Julia was not Madeleine. There's 3 reasons, Gerry said. We didn't believe she was Madeleine. We'd been reassured by the Metropolitan Police. Following their investigations within Poland, she was who her name was. Lastly, it's not our responsibility to do a DNA test. It's a matter for investigative forces. And Gerry said there was no doubt that Wendelt was not Madeleine, and the Metropolitan Police had eliminated Wendelt from the inquiry into Madeleine's disappearance in 2023. Now, you know, I do understand all that, but I think if it was me, I'd probably just because it's not a big thing now to do a DNA test, is it? So, I don't really understand why they don't just do it and get it out of the way. Strange, really. I understand his reasoning there. I mean, what do you think? Let me know what you think in chat. Do you think they'd be just as well to just do it and get it out of the way? Or do you agree with them that they shouldn't have to do it? So that's the last question. That was it. Wasn't much questioning by the defence, was it? The last question to Gerry at Leicester Crown Court this afternoon, and it brought his evidence to an end after about 90 minutes. So then they've summarised it, that he first became aware of Julia in 2023. He said he told police he was very confident just by looking at a photo that it was not his daughter Madeleine. He told the court that Kate's phone would ring and ring with no caller ID, and this made his wife obviously very distressed, irritated, irritable, and struggling to concentrate. He said on one occasion he answered the phone and he said, "You're not Madeleine." Gerry said he was appalled that Julia tried to contact his children. And recalling the night that Julia and Karen turned up at his home, he said the latter got pretty close to me and accused him of being a member of the Freemasons. Then the court heard audio of the interaction in which McCann told the pair, "You're not Madeleine, please don't hassle us." And he said it pulls on your heartstrings when people claim to be your missing daughter you haven't seen for so long. And he added that it was damaging in the search for Madeleine. Let's have a look at this little video.
Madeleine is a beautiful, bright, funny and caring little girl.
At the height of the search for her daughter in Portugal, Kate McCann was front and centre, clutching 3-year-old Madeleine's toy. She was desperate to find her. Nearly 2 decades on, it remains one of the UK's longest-running missing persons cases. Artists created images of what Madeleine looked like as she grew up, but it's alleged that one woman decided to try to convince the McCanns that she was their daughter. Julia Wendelt, who is 24 and from Poland, is on trial for stalking them. It's alleged she sent incessant messages to them, even turning up at their house in December 2024. Kate McCann told the court, "I pulled up on the drive. It was really dark. It was the weekend. We had the gales. I was opening the boot to get something out and I heard someone say, 'Kate.' I knew it was someone behind me, but I didn't know who it was. She called me Mum, I think. She was asking for a DNA test. Why won't you do a DNA test?" And pleading with me. Mrs. McCann said Wendelt was with co-defendant Karen Spragg from Cardiff, who was described as more aggressive, and said, "Don't you want to find your daughter?" Kate McCann, who was giving evidence from behind a curtain, said she felt distressed. She managed to get inside the house and lock the door.
Two complete Fruit Loops there, but I don't think they should have been allowed to give their evidence behind a curtain. Why could they go behind a curtain? I don't understand that.
At times, the defendant Wendelt, as she listened to the evidence, appeared to cry. She later shouted, "Why are you doing this to me?" as she left court. Every year in the McCann's home village of Rothley, there is this vigil for Madeleine. At one of these poignant gatherings, it's claimed that Wendelt turned up looking for the McCanns and constantly tried to contact them. Gerry McCann told the court, "Kate was upset. I was getting frustrated and angry that these calls were coming. The phone went and I picked it up and answered it. I said, 'You're not Madeleine. Please stop calling,' and then hung up very, very quickly. I made it very clear these were unwanted calls. To be honest, it was a bit of a blur." Both Wendelt and Spragg deny stalking the McCanns. The trial continues. Lisa Dowd, Sky News, Leicester.
Okay, so that's it. That was it. It's back on tomorrow. Continued live coverage tomorrow. I'll try and actually I may be able to cover it live tomorrow. See wonder what will be happening tomorrow. So tomorrow the court. So the jury is due to hear evidence tomorrow from Gerry and Kate's twins, Sean and Amelie. They'll probably be behind the curtain as well. I understand why they should be behind the curtain, but don't understand why Kate and Gerry should be behind the curtain. I mean, you know, they've been very, how can I put it? I mean, Kate and Gerry, a lot of the social media storm around them, it was whipped up by them, you know, when they created the, was it a GoFundMe or whatever, the website, and that they've wanted public attention. With Sean and Amelie, it's different. They had no choice in it, did they? They were just born Madeleine's twins. And do you know what? Gerry and Kate are lucky to have those twins, because that night when they left all three of them alone in that apartment, all three, they could have come back to find all three of them gone, couldn't they? So, you know, it must... I don't know how Sean and Amelie feel about that. I think I saw an article the other day, you know, that they're not very happy about that. Because you'd be like, why did you leave us all on our own? I mean, they wouldn't be able to understand that, would they? So, yeah, so tomorrow the twins are going to give evidence. I'll get some photos up for tomorrow of the twins. I have got pictures of them both somewhere, recent pictures, because they have come out a lot more. You know, Amelie, a couple of years ago, she went, not last year, was it the year before? She went to the vigil, didn't she? And she did speak, and she did have a photo taken, you know, so... Yeah, a lot of people think they had something to, you know, that they did something, you know, but we don't, you know, we just, you know, we've all got our views and our opinions on it, which we're entitled to have. My thing is just they should never have left those children there on their own, you know, and as I say, they're lucky to have any children at all now, because, you know, you leave 3 children under the age of 5. I mean, Madeleine was 3 and the twins were 2. You leave them on their own while you go off having a party with your friends, getting drunk with all your mates and that. I just don't know how they got away with that. Like, not being sort of charged with child neglect or whatever. They didn't have their children taken off them, did they? A lot of people who, if something happens to one child, they get the rest of the children taken off them while, social services investigate them or whatever. They didn't get investigated, did they? So I don't like the fact that they left those children, anyway. But what happened to Madeleine? Don't know. It could be that they get, these are a lot of the rumours, aren't they? Or did they give the children sedatives and they gave too much sedatives? Then there's people saying that she fell off the bed and died in the apartment. And of course, the dogs picked up the cadaver dogs, alerted, didn't they? To and they're not normally wrong, are they? But the thing is, there is no evidence, unless there's not even evidence to say that Madeleine is deceased. So Madeleine's body has never been found. And then all this recently over Christian Bruckner and that, we knew, didn't we, that it was all going to come to nothing. Christian Bruckner has never been charged. The German police guy saying, oh, yeah, he's definitely the culprit. He's never been charged with anything. He's now free walking around. That was all a great big red herring, wasn't it? And we knew it. The thing is, now you sort of know it straight away. As soon as something comes out like that, and they went back and did more searches, didn't they? And it all comes to nothing. You know it's going to come to nothing. You get sort of, I wonder if this is how the McCanns feel. You sort of get all, I don't know, excited, thinking, maybe there's going to be a break in the case and they're going to find out something, and then nothing happens, nothing ever happens. So I don't know how it is for the McCanns. I mean, as I say, I've been to that area, I've stayed there at that complex or in one of the apartments around the complex. It's not, you would never, ever leave your child there. Not tiny children, maybe different nowadays even, but not at their age. But like, say you had children there who were older and could use like WhatsApp and stuff like that. And use it now. Children have mobiles, don't they? And you could, maybe an older child now, you would leave there with their WhatsApp and their mobile, but you certainly were not 2 and 3 year old. Honestly, I say that so often. I think it's common sense. I think to most of you out there, it doesn't even need to be said, does it? But not to Gerry and Kate. They will not. This is my problem with them. They have never said, we should never have left those children in that apartment. They never say it. They never, ever say it. They justify it. Just like being in your garden, we were checking on them every half an hour, blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Instead of just saying it was a mistake, we should never have done it. They have never taken any responsibility. That's the issue I have with them. But anyway. Yeah. Yeah, the Portuguese expat. There's been loads of red herrings, haven't there? Oh, God. There was Clement Freud. He was it Robert Murat? And then there was sightings of her. Had she been trafficked to Morocco? And, just false sightings, of course, of her. Just ridiculous. The whole thing. And now, Julia hasn't helped with that. She just joins a long list of distractions from this case, really. So, and don't forget, I've been there. So I've been to this complex. I've spoken to people who were working there the night that Madeleine went missing. That area, that village, Pride of Luth, where nobody believes that Madeleine was kidnapped. Everyone, the Portuguese people that live there and the people I spoke to, they all, think the McCanns had something to do with it, because for lots of reasons. And that's what I was told. And the person who, anyway, it's just, I've got a playlist of when I went on location to Pride of Luth. I'll try and remember to link it in the bottom of this video. I'll probably forget, but I'll try and remember. But it's on my YouTube channel. If you Google, if you put in my YouTube channel, search Madeleine McCann on location Pride of Luth or whatever, it will come up the playlist probably. That's the opinion of the people that were there on the night, because their behaviour was very strange that night. And they didn't really look for her either, which was strange as well. But anyway, I don't know. To me, the crime they committed, the one crime that we know they committed 100%, was they left 3 children under the age of 5 on their own in an apartment that was miles away from the tappers bar. It wasn't that close. It was, 10-minute walk. So, and also that you had to go out of the complex, along the road, round the corner to the apartment. It wasn't, those apartments are not part of the complex. They're separate. There's a wall in between. They are not part of the complex. Looks like that sometimes when you see the pictures. It, literally when we arrived there and we went to the reception to sign in, I started walking inside the complex. He said, all right, I'll take you to show you your apartment. I started to walk inside the complex. He said, oh, no, it's not inside the complex. The actual little complex itself, it's just the pool, the bar, which is now, or when I went a couple of years ago, it's like an Asian fusion restaurant. Now it's not a tapas bar anymore. There's tennis courts and all that is still there, but the children's club has gone. That was like a beauty salon type thing. And then you've got the swimming pool, and that's it. That's all that's in that little thing. The apartments are behind the wall. Then there's a wall around it. And to get to any of the apartments, which are all privately owned apartments, you have to go out onto the street, out of the complex, onto the street, walk up the road, walk around the corner, and then up the steps to the apartment. So, it's not so close as they make it out to be. So, yeah, they do. Well, and the other thing that always strikes me is, they went jogging, didn't they? They just kept in their routine as if they were, nothing had happened. But also, those other 2 children, Amelie and Sean, they left them in the kids club while they went. Now, you imagine if you've got 3 children, one of them has been snatched, abducted. You would not let your other 2 children out of your sight, would you? You certainly wouldn't put them in the same kids club where your child had been abducted from, because you didn't know if you thought your child had been abducted. It could have been something to do with the kids club. Somebody from the kids club selling information, some PDF or whatever. How could you then take your remaining children, drop them off at the kids club while you went jogging or jetting all around the world? Because of course they went all out. Gerry was on Oprah, wasn't he? They went to see the Pope. I mean, I think people forget those kind of things because now we're looking at it. But if you remember how it was at the time, they were acting very strangely. It's like they were on this tour of the world, going and meeting all these famous people. But for me, the biggest thing was that, there's no way if one of my children had been abducted, I would put the other 2 kids in the same kids club. No, in the same complex where they're saying that she's been abducted. It's like, oh, let's go for a jog and put the kids back in the kids club. You just wouldn't do it. You wouldn't leave them for a minute, would you? Just wouldn't leave them for a minute. If you lost one child, you would certainly make sure the other children were always within your sight. Anyway, so yeah, strange behaviour. Now we're further down the line now, and now, of course, the twins, they're old enough to speak for themselves about their experiences. So it'd be interesting to see what they say tomorrow. I feel sorry for them, you know, that they've got to do that, because at the end of the day, you know, they didn't do anything, did they? So whatever happens. So okay, so I'll be back tomorrow to talk to you about that. Take care. Night night. And until I see you again in the next video, may your God go with you. Bye.